Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. This is the Park Committee Video Teleconference meeting of August the 24th, 2021. And we have an agenda today. We're working with the master plan update by the Hitchcock Design Group. And Charlie Lewis, I'll turn the meeting over to you to move us through the agenda.
Thank you, Judge Wells. I appreciate everybody in attendance today and taking time out of their busy schedules. We'll call this 8/24/21 Park Committee meeting to order. And again, appreciate everybody's time. I know there's some hard work we're going to go over. We are Zoom or at 321 West Main Street, and it's just a little after 1:30 p.m. On Tuesday, 8/24 for the record. In new business today, we have master plan feasibility study updates from our Hitchcock Design Group. And then after that, we'll keep the meeting open for any other business that we may need to cover while we're together. So I know the Hitchcock Design Group has an agenda that they put together also within their group. So within that, I will hand it over to the Hitchcock Design Group. So Randy or Shannon, whoever wants to take the lead, we'll hand it off to you guys. And we look forward to hearing all the details that you've got today. I know we received a 45-page document with lots of information on it. So we look forward to hearing what you've got to say. So take it away, guys.
Shannon, you want to walk us through the agenda?
Sure thing. Just a quick another introduction. I'm Shannon Creasy with Randy Royer, landscape architects at Hitchcock Design Group. Philip Parnan is our recreation consultant. He will be going through a lot of the information that we've sent out and kind of digging in a little bit more about what that means moving forward. And we have Kenny McDaniel and his team at BFW here as well. I also see Andy Howard is on here as well from Hitchcock Design Group. So really quickly, I think Phil, I'll go ahead and let you share your screen if you want. That had at least the start of the agenda, but today we are just going to be talking a little bit about the findings that we've gotten, basically what we've done up until today, which includes all of the community engagement, starting with our stakeholder groups, the community engagement, and the survey. Bundling all of that up, Phil will kind of go into detail about what we've gotten from all those, and then we'll kind of jump back on and talk about our next steps. So Phil, I will go ahead and let you take over if you'd like to go ahead and kind of start running through the information.
Thank you very much, Shannon. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, Judge, magistrates, and staff, and the public. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Franklin County Needs Assessment Survey results. We'll actually be covering the public engagement results from multiple events or avenues that we've been collecting the public input today. So today's agenda, actions taken up to this point, and then we'll go through the public engagement findings for the stakeholder focus group, the event in the park where we have the intercept survey as well, and the online survey, and then we'll speak briefly to next steps. Actions taken thus far, we'll recap real quickly. Up to this point, we have gone through kickoff meetings, stakeholder focus groups, review of the current financials, initiated the market competition analysis, looking specifically at parks and recreation departments and the amenities that we know were within Lakeview Park. We toured Elizabethtown Sports Complex, conducted the open house event in Lakeview Park on July 17th. Thank you to all of those who came out to see us and share your input as well. And then we've put out the intercept survey as part of that as well, and we'll cover those findings today, as well as the online findings from the online survey. So for public engagement, excuse me, from all of our engagement efforts, the team has engaged over 1,200 people. 51 of those participants were from the focus groups. 281 during the event in Lakeview Park, of which we had received 127 responses to the intercept survey, and 87 responses from the 875 responses, I apologize, from the online needs assessment. When we look at the focus groups, the key takeaways from our focus groups provided a vision moving forward. We heard that year-round programming was important, athletics as well. And it was important for us to serve as many age groups as possible. It was important to preserve the heritage of Franklin County and incorporate that into the design, as well as improve aging and underutilized spaces. Goals for the site design and the program, meaning the types of amenities and programs and events that will take place, were to generate revenue, to draw regionally within a 5-hour drive time, and then local needs to be addressed as well. And those were our overarching goals for the project. When we take a look at the stakeholder focus group questionnaire, we see that the stakeholders filled out these open-ended questions. We had 4 of them. What are the strengths of Lakeview Park? What are the opportunities that exist within Lakeview Park moving forward for updating? And then what are your priorities? Lastly, we asked if there was anything else that anyone wanted to share with the team as part of the project, and we took those other comments below. So what we've seen is that the highest strengths were the walking trails, the sports fields. It's a great location for the fair, and there's a lot of history and heritage involved, and that also comes through with the events there. The opportunities moving forward were to improve underutilized areas, improve sports fields, draw in some tournaments, look at indoor multifaceted gathering spaces, and again, preserve that heritage, and events to the park for economic driver. So drawing in people that will enjoy the services being provided within Lakeview Park, but also visit local businesses to patronize those and help with economic impact overall. The priorities were upgrading the sports field, as well as the multi-use, sorry, I can't see the slide with everything, multi-use indoor spaces, and more county parks as well. When we take a look at the intercept survey, what we have found is that from all of the surveys that we received back from the Lakeview Park open house event on July 17th, we have these distributed, and for the major actions, the top 5 responses are very supportive and somewhat supportive. 79% are supportive of convention center, 73% of replacing aged and underutilized spaces, 87% for supportive of improving the parks, 85% supportive of updating restrooms, and 82% supportive of shelter and pavilion improvements. When we look at what is very important as far as the indoor spaces, these major actions are what they would be willing to fund, and 3 of the 5 will draw people in regionally, and all but 1 will address the local needs. So new convention center, indoor outdoor aquatic center, new walking trails, improved existing restrooms, and developing additional ball fields were the top 5. When we look at willing to fund as far as indoor amenities, the indoor amenities willing to fund are indoor walking and jogging track, indoor sports, swim facility, convention space, and multi-purpose activity. What is not willing, what the group responding was not willing to fund was overnight accommodations, a lounge, and the historic and heritage decor. When we move into the full needs assessment, as stated earlier, we received 875 responses. This is one of the largest responses we have seen recently for parks and recreation site master plans. We've been seeing the number increase as far as the number of responses since April of 2020 across the industry, as people really understand the importance of parks and recreation, amenities, and facilities now more than ever due to the restrictions and protocols from the pandemic. From this, we asked who uses, how often they use the park, and what specifically do they utilize in the park. So as you can see here, the top 5 responses. Number 1, 26% use the park less than once a month, 23% a few times, and a few times a week, 20%. So when you look at those that are using it on a weekly basis, 30% of the people that responded utilize the park on a regular basis. Even more importantly, it's good to reach non-users of the park system as well too, to see what type of representation in recreation activities and recreation amenities they would like to see. So when we look at those that do not use Lakeview Park at 10%, it's good to know that we've captured folks that are non-users of the system as well. When you look at the facilities that are utilized the most, we start with the paved trails, restrooms, playgrounds, the Farm Bureau Pavilion, and the splash pad making up the top 5. People use and participate in things that they value the most. These 5 items are used mostly by the respondents, but they also are predominantly known for local use as well within park systems. When we look at this slide, most satisfied for how the sports field features are being maintained, mowing of the field, trash pickup, and field preparations top the list, which is great. Least satisfied is the restrooms, player benches, concessions, and spectator viewing. And you'll see the restrooms come up repeatedly within this survey. When looking at overall participation, respondents have identified that the county fair is one that they participate in the most. And it's good to note also that several of the other activities on this list below, some of them also occur as auxiliary activities within the county fair as well. So it reaches a lot of people that responded to the survey. Next, we're followed up by youth soccer, the rental spaces, fundraisers as walk-run events, and then picnic gatherings. When we take a look at the overall satisfaction of what the county parks and recreation system provides, overall satisfaction with the quality of service received is at 56% of very to somewhat satisfied, with only 19% being somewhat to very dissatisfied. And that's a really good spread or ratio. But there is room for improvement. The goal moving forward would be to decrease those in the neutral responses and have those move into the somewhat to very satisfied categories. Future surveys can help determine the progress of the department over time to improve satisfaction levels as well. And typically those surveys are recommended being done every few to 5 years. When looking at the very important responses to indoor amenities, the top 5 include indoor swim facility, playground and play space, convention space, multi-purpose activity pools, and indoor walking and jogging track. It is also worth noting that those items with the least amount of importance are overnight accommodations, a lounge, and the history and heritage of Franklin County. When looking at most important to households, very specifically to their own individual needs, the amenities that we see here have changed just a little bit. You have indoor swimming, that makes up number 1, the indoor sport courts, indoor walking and jogging track, convention space, and then multi-purpose activity pools. The same 3 least important are continued here in this slide as well too, as the least important to households. The outdoor amenities most important to households: walking trail, universal playground, improved sports fields, enhanced splash pad, and outdoor events. Once again, here we see the least 3 being those that are either already well prepared for, meaning there's already an amenity there, or it's just not important to that specific household. So the three least important are the skate park, the environmental interpretive science, and improved motor sports. And it's important to note that when we say least important, these are just the survey result findings. There's been no predetermination as to what actually will continue within the site and what will not. There's still a little bit of additional work to be done to make that determination and measure against the market so that a recommendation for an amenity that is not going to achieve the goals is not made. So there's still a little bit more work to do, and we'll cover that in next steps at the end of the presentation. When we look at the outdoor amenities most important to households, it's changed just a little bit here. The walking trail is still number one, playground is still in second, and so are the sports fields is in third. However, amphitheater and performance stage now takes up the fourth spot, and outdoor event spaces is still in the top 5 as well. The three least important here continue to be the same as they were before. When we get into programs that are very important to residents, they are youth sports, community special events, special needs programming, after school camps, and conventions. The least important are community dances, personal training, and movie nights. When looking at which of those programs are most important to households, it's changed a little bit here as well, with youth sports at the top, after school camps in second, indoor sport leagues in third, adult sports as well in fourth. And I'm sorry, I think I messed that order up. Youth sports first, community special events second, after school camps third, indoor sports fourth, and adult sports fifth. The least three has changed just a little bit to include dances, personal training, and open gym. When looking at preferred communication, it is noted that the county will need to increase marketing and communications moving forward to achieve the reach and draw regionally as desired. Digital marketing will be the best way to increase the reach and have that regional draw. And it's also, digital marketing is also one that is currently preferred by local residents. So when you look at their preferred way of communication, social media tops the list, followed by newspaper articles and ads, roadside banners, friends and neighbors, and the county website. It is important to know that friends and neighbors is a direct result of all other forms of marketing and communication that people have read about. Meaning, when we go to social gatherings, we are talking about things that we have seen and read, that we have maybe received through an email blast, seen on social media, seen as we were driving down the road on a roadside banner, read in the newspaper. So it's important that friends and neighbors still continue to exist, especially for the local residents, but just know that all forms of digital communication and marketing contribute to word of mouth or hearing from friends and neighbors. When looking at the barriers to participation, the responses shown that I do not know what is being offered as number 1 on the list. Program or facility does not exist within the park as number 2. The quality of programs as 3. Facilities are not well maintained as 4, and facilities do not have the right equipment rounds out the top 5. This speaks to the increased need for quality programming and quality amenities, including those who are putting on programs in your park, because the county park system will be associated with those, whether the county park system is intimately delivering the program or if it's being provided by a program partner. When looking at the bottom of the results here, there is a lot of encouraging information here. When you look at fees being too high at 6%, all the way down to poor customer service by staff at 3%, that is good to see very low. These are not barriers to success. They're not keeping people from participating. And in many instances, we do see those as results. And operationally, there are some significant changes that need to be made. Here, it's very positive to see that these are not going to impede where you're wanting to go with regional draw and serving the local needs. When we look at the program times not being convenient, so it says facility operating hours are not convenient and program times are not convenient. This is going to be a challenge moving forward. As the local residents, as well as the people from a regional draw, are actually going to prefer the same times for recreation. And so it's going to be important to establish a priority moving forward, a delineation of uses for the site once a design has been established. When looking at the level of support, from very supportive to somewhat supportive, the greatest level of support is not surprising, as the top 5 are predominantly for excuse me, local use. Improve the existing park, improve restrooms, new indoor-outdoor aquatics facility, improve existing playgrounds, and improve the existing trail. When you look at those that are down at the bottom of the list for the least amount of support, you see improve existing outdoor pickleball courts. That could be because those have been newly renovated this year. And so that progress has been seen, and therefore, and that was done prior to the survey going out. So that could be one of those for why that is a little bit lower. However, it's pretty clear that people are not interested in seeing an ice rink be developed in that location. It doesn't mean that there couldn't be a temporary one out there for a short period of time through a contractor, but as far as a permanent dedicated facility, the level of support just isn't there for that. When looking at what people are most willing to fund, because people will spend more money on things they value more, the top 5 responses are new indoor-outdoor aquatics facility, convention center, develop space for performing arts, new walking trails, and improve existing restroom. When we look at those things least willing to fund, once again, we have in the outdoor pickleball court, but we have improved existing picnic shelters and pavilions, and then develop new areas for leisure games as those least willing to fund. As part of the survey, we also, the needs assessment survey, we also include questions regarding demographics. Here you can see that predominantly females have responded to the survey at large. And when we look at age groups, the top 2 age groups are ages 35 to 44 and ages 45 to 54 for filling out the survey. When we look at ethnicity and income, 95% of those filling out the survey were white or Caucasian, 2% Black or African American, 1% Asian or Asian American, and 2% made up other races. When we look at the household income, those that filled out the survey the most, 29%, were between 100 and 150,000 as far as household income, followed up by those between 75 and 100,000 in income. So there's a lot of information here to take in, as was alluded to a little bit earlier by Charlie, and we felt it necessary to do some comparison tables to see really what we were seeing. So in doing these comparison tables, we see how the 5 top match up between the stakeholder input, the intercept survey, and then ultimately the needs assessment as well. What we see here is that there are 4 of the top 5 from both the intercept survey and the needs assessment that will help to address all 5 of the stakeholder themes you see in bold there in the left-hand column. The numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the left represent where those came in each one of those input methods. When we look at the indoor amenities, we see that all of the top 5 will, from both the intercept survey as well as the needs assessment, will address the stakeholder input that was received as well. So that is really nice to see. And I apologize, it looks like we have not highlighted, oh, actually this is the wrong slide, my bad. as far as improve aging and underutilized spaces, because these are all indoor amenities and those don't currently exist with the exception of the clubhouse and the pavilion and the other couple of barns utilized as well, it will not take care of improving the aging and underutilized. Those are reserved for the outdoor amenities, which you will see here. The outdoor amenities only have 2 matches that help address the themes from the stakeholder input. This should not be discouraging though, as there is a large desire to improve the existing park and the amenities within it. It is most likely necessary to update any outdoor amenities that will be part of the new design moving forward to create a better curb appeal, something that will match the quality of the new developed spaces for indoor as well as outdoor. It's also important to know that that curb appeal, whether they're going into your facility or not, drivers by, that's what they're going to see first. And so to make a good impression, it's important that those be addressed as part of the overall design. In conclusion, these are the most desired amenities that you've seen in the last 3 slides. We will be testing these against the market to see where there is an opportunity for Lakeview Park and the county to create its niche and to draw regionally and also to take care of the local needs. In addition, we will need to see what all can fit into the site while taking into account the state's assessment of what spaces need to be protected moving forward. So as part of this, we want to discuss our next steps. We will continue to analyze the results, especially as we complete the marketing analysis. We'll be looking at all of the top responses and looking within a 5-hour drive time as to all of the facilities that exist, their draw, their capabilities, and try and define where there's opportunity in the market for the county, as well as an opportunity to create their own niche, to be unique and to have that destination feel as people arrive to the park. That will ultimately lead us to a fully developed program where the consultants will then in turn take that and begin their drawings, while simultaneously we'll be developing the operational plan moving forward. The operational plan will take a look at staffing. We'll take a look at revenue generation, funding sources. We'll take a look at the overall pro forma. So what are the expenses and the revenues going to look like for the first 5 to 6 years of operation? And ultimately provide a roadmap for the county moving forward to be able to update the park and operate it with the goals in mind that were set forth at the beginning. With that, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to our presentation. I tried to keep that within 30 minutes, and I think that we were successful so that we could allow more opportunity for comments and questions. Before we do that, Randy, was there anything that you wanted to say before we move into questions?
No, sorry, I couldn't find my mute button. No, I think well, just briefly, I want to reiterate that
Randy, we can't hear you very well.
Is this any better?
Yeah, the closer you get to the microphone, the better, I think.
Okay. I just want to reiterate that there were the amount of people that came out that filled out the survey was very good. You know, it's always kind of dicey when we work in different communities, but clearly your constituents really care about what's going on here, and a number of people really gave us some good input. There are also a number of comments. I think we sent that document, the summary document, to Charlie. There are a number of written-in comments that are interesting to read if you have time to go through those. So this has been actually, from our standpoint, a really good process, because we had a lot of activity and a number of people involved. So I think with that, I can just open it up for questions for you all.
First, if you don't mind, by the way, thank you, Randy, Shannon, Philip, all of you. I'm sure the public would like to see this document, or at least see parts of this document. Is it normal procedure to put all of the document out, like on Facebook or on our webpage, or just the summarization of all of the input? Give us some guidance on what and how we should put this out to the public.
Randy, you're on mute.
Can't hear you, Randy.
There we go.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have
Yeah.
a recommendation?
Yeah, that's really, it varies from community to community as to how much information is put out there. But for the public's understanding, we don't have a problem with you putting the document out there. In fact, the more that you can make available to the public, typically the better. There can be new findings that come along as we're continuing this process from somebody who has read the document, and they'll make a comment to us and give us a heads up of something local that we would not have taken into consideration because it actually isn't covered in the survey as a question or as an answer to one of the questions. So I would say that if you all are comfortable with doing so, it could be placed online.
So
I would say, please do not include the comments, though. There are people who did put their name and numbers for us to contact, and I just don't think that needs to be out there for the world to see.
For
So
private.
if- please
Good.
remove the comments.
Yeah, good point, Shannon. Why don't I take the opportunity to go back and redact that information and then send a clean version to everyone.
Okay.
Something else to consider is Phil, you might pull out your summary slides because there is a lot of data in this presentation, but to have
Include those.
include them separate so the folks that just want a summary can go straight to a summary. The folks that want all the data, they can go to the long version.
Okay, then I'll put the summary at the beginning.
Okay, good idea.
If you would send us your updated version, and we'll put it out on our webpage for the public to view it then.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Next, so we have Charlie Lewis and Northcutt. I'm assuming Robert Hewitt. And then we have the two Squires, Squire Muller, as well as Squire Tracy. So Squire Muller, we don't see you, but we'll let you go first through. Do you have questions?
No, Judge, I do not. I just wanted to thank everybody for all their hard work. I would like to thank all the people that filled the surveys out. I mean, 1,200 surveys. I mean, that's phenomenal. So I think that speaks volumes as far as what people are really wanting to see in our community. So look forward to where we're headed. So no, I don't have any questions per se, Judge. Thank you.
Squire Tracy.
Thank you, Judge. Yeah, no questions. Just would like to thank Hitchcock Design and their team for all of their hard work, the staff, everybody that's been involved, as well as the people that participated in and taking the surveys, taking time out of their busy schedule to get it done. It's an important project, and it looks like there's a lot of information.
Okay. Charlie, I'll just start with you, and then we'll go around with the staff.
Okay, thanks, Judge. I again appreciate the hard work of the Hitchcock Group. I know we're going to proceed with some additional next steps about what's coming forward from the study. The good thing that I'm getting from this is, in reading all the comments, I've already implemented some stuff to kind of.
Charlie, we lost you. We see you, but you're frozen in time.
Yeah, I think he's dropped out, Judge, for a second. Let's give him just a sec.
By the way, Charlie, I'm sure appreciates that he's frozen in time because he had a birthday the other day. And so now he's not any older. So while we're working on Charlie to get back in and Northcutt.
I have no questions at this time. Thank you for the presentation today, and reading through the information was very interesting, very informative.
Okay, Robert Hewitt, are you on? Is Robert on? Tim?
Yes, sir.
Robert?
Oh, no, I don't have any questions, but good work from the team.
Is anybody else? I've got a couple of things I want to say first, and to piggyback on what Squire Tracy said or Squire Muller, we appreciate the many people in our community, and it's good to know a community of our size of about 50,000. We had over 1,200 people come out, and you all that have the Hitchcock group, this is your business. You said that's a good showing, and so we're proud of our community expressing themselves. One thing that I have not read it just came out. It was approved last night by the City Commission, and I asked that you all look at it, and if need be, we'll get it to you. But the city approved their master plan last night. So I think as you all saw, and we saw as well as we went through the comments, that there were numerous comments about the city and the county working together as part of as we move forward here. So I would hope that you all will take a look at that and see. I'm sure there'll be a meshing of ideas through what they approved with their master plan last night. And with that, the most important piece that a question I have is, once again, if you would, go over the next steps, what it will be our next meeting, and then the kind of the time frame of what we should expect, and the final document, if you would, for us and the public.
All right, so I'll cover the next steps. Randy, if you'd like to speak to the overall piece, that would be nice. So at this point in time, we're going to continue analyzing the results that we just presented to you all. And we're going to analyze those against a few things. First, we're going to analyze those and as we complete the market analysis and make sure that there's room for competition in the markets of those high priority items identified by the public from the survey. We're also going to see if there's an opportunity for a niche, to create that unique destination only specific to Franklin County as part of that analysis as well too. In addition, we'll be looking at the top preferred amenities as far as the site design, and we'll be testing those against the overarching outcomes, i.e. the revenue generation, the regional draw, as well as the local needs, to make sure that they're hitting as many of those three as possible. We'll also be looking at whether it's a high, low, or a medium for cost to develop and cost to operate. But we'll also be looking at what each one of these items has as partnership potential moving forward as well, so that we can identify potential partners from certain industries that exist within Franklin County as well. When we have all of that, that's all going to make up the program development, being very specific to Hitchcock for drawing, i.e. how many fields are going to be outside as far as rectangular fields, how many ball fields, indoor spaces, what do those look like as far as square footage, and the number of courts that would be within those. Those are the details that we'll be putting together for the design group. And then while they're designing that, we will begin the operational plan, look at what the staffing needs are, look at the different ways you can operate it. And you can be the sole proprietor where you own and operate. You can partner with someone, you can contract out fully. So there's about a handful of those that we'll be looking at the pros and cons of for you all to give us some direction. So that'll all end with the operational pro forma, which will be the revenue and expenses as part of this, and what you can anticipate when implemented as far as the revenue generation and the overall bottom line.
And the time frame on all of that, Phil?
So, well, the time frame for on all of that, really, our immediate next step is to analyze the results, complete the market analysis, and develop the program, which we're working to complete here in the next couple to 3 weeks.
And so will you get back with us on when we need to, when you have that to have a next meeting?
Yes.
Once we're really, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Shannon.
I was gonna say, so our next meeting, our proposal will then have our recommended suggestions of everything that Phil was just mentioning of the recommended program. So that'll be the next 3 weeks. I'll get a hold of Charlie to set up this meeting again. So from there, we'll kind of present those findings, those recommendations, and give those to your guys' team to kind of really delve into and approve before then the design team works on the overall master plan as well as the operational plan. According to the proposal, that would be 6 weeks of time between those two things.
I said, we're looking at 3 weeks before we meet again, and then 3 more after that could be the plan itself then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Philip, you got something else?
Well, I see that Charlie is back with us. I'm interested in hearing Charlie's comments and questions.
Yeah. Charlie, you didn't get any older when you froze out, so you're good.
I'm feeling
about your
older.
birthday.
Well, maybe I'm getting too old to operate these machines. I don't know. No, on the improvements, maybe we can upgrade the Wi-Fi or something. I don't know. But, no, I enjoy seeing these detailed comments at the end of the study, or where we are at this point, I guess. That allows me to, kind of go ahead and implement some things. But other than that, I didn't have any additional comments other than appreciate the information and enjoy, seeing where we are and reading everybody's input in the community. So I appreciate everybody getting online or filling out the studies and everything. And if there's anything we can do at this point, from the Hitchcock Group's perspective, please let me know. And we look forward to moving forward. Thank you.
And Charlie, I guess you heard Shannon say this be about 3 weeks and she'd be getting back with you to set up a meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Charlie, if someone could send us a copy of the park master plan that you just referenced, Judge.
Yeah.
That would be helpful to see how that kind of jives with what we've heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Charlie, you going to get that for them?
Sure. Yeah, I can email it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's great. That's great. Thank you.
Judge, this is Susan, the treasurer.
Oh, hey. Okay, Susan. Hey.
I don't know that I heard or not, but in the overview from the group on the demographics, did you make any comments or comparison with our actual demographics versus those that responded to the survey with regard to household income and gender and age and ethnicity, so forth, about what our actual mix is? And will there be further study or comparison in that area, or any special outreach for those that may not have been represented in the survey?
Excellent point. I turn that back to Randy or Philip or Shannon. Did you hear that question?
Yes, I did. I'll go ahead and field that question. So when we actually did the demographics and trends for the market analysis, what we found as far as the largest age group currently is ages 35 to 54. And you can see from that here in the demographics, the 35 to 54-year-olds made up 48%, and they're only actually 26% of your actual demographics. And so that is something that I think would be good to go ahead and add to the overall document. So when we update that, Judge, with what we discussed previously, we'll also look at including these and write language that shows the comparison from the demographics to the survey. So from this, females appear to be overrepresented as well. And when we look at the race and ethnicity, let me pull up that slide again so I can see it while I'm looking at the other information. So currently 82% of your population makes up white or Caucasian, and 11% makes up some other race as the largest. So I would say in this survey, currently the white or Caucasians are overrepresented by about 13%. When we look at the household income, as far as median income, the median income of Franklin County is $57,000, so just shy of the national average. So we're looking at 18% being within that. And when we look at this, it would look as though those between 75 and 100,000, really the 100,000 to 150 is overrepresented. So thank you for bringing up that question.
Okay. Is there any follow-up to any of that that you think may need to be done, or whatever? Is that conclusive enough for us to move forward on?
It is conclusive when we do an online survey. Now, if this were a statistically valid survey that was being done, there would need to be a greater level of mirroring your community's demographics as part of that response. When you do an online survey, there's a lot less control of that factor when you're taking in as just all of the surveys. So when you're taking it for statistically valid, you're looking for it to mirror the community. This doesn't necessarily have to mirror the community, but if there's a desire for us to reach out and obtain additional input beyond this, we'd be open to discussing that.
Well, I think you kind of need to help us. If you think we do, I mean, if we do want a fair representation of people in our community,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess we, Squire Muller and Squire Tracy and myself need to have that discussion at this point in time. Squire Muller, Squire Tracy, do you feel like that we've had a fair representation, that we're okay with the data that we got, or do you want to reach out to some others that don't particularly, that aren't represented like they are demographically in our community?
Judge, I guess I'll go first. I think everybody worked very, very hard to get those 1,200 surveys sent out. And I honestly don't know what else we could do to reach anybody else. And obviously, I think the people that filled the surveys out are the ones that are using the park. So I'm personally okay with the information unless somebody else has an idea. Thank you.
Squire Tracy?
I'm comfortable where we're at. I think when you look at the stakeholders that were put together, it was a very diverse group. When you look at the schools, you look at Kentucky State was represented. Both school systems were represented. In conversations, it sounds like they were active in trying to push people to do the surveys. So I'm comfortable with where we're at.
Judge, one thing to consider as we move forward is this will continue to be an open process. So when we come back and present the program, clearly it'll be televised or on YouTube. I do think if the committee has more discussion about this and there are some folks that you would like to get involved, if they'll have an opportunity to hear that presentation and provide input when we share the program. But then even after we get through the programming phase and we start to get into the design phase, there will be opportunities during the design, as we start to put all these puzzle pieces together, there will be opportunities to continue to have community input. That's kind of the beauty of the process, is it never really stops. People always have an opportunity to see what's happening and to voice their opinion.
That's an excellent point, Randy. Thank you. That's perfect, really. This document is not anywhere near finished. It is a process. We just went through the beginning of the process. So as long as we stay open, we know that, and we can come up with some ideas from our office to see what we can do to make sure that we do what we can to get that information out to demographically to the people in our community. So we'll do that. So thank you for that comment. We appreciate it. Okay. We're looking at, as you said, about 3 weeks before we meet again, and at that point we'll let you all work on it and come up with the next step. And then it's exciting to us. I know the people in the community are excited. And so we'll just keep moving forward. If there are no other comments, I'll look for any other comments before we move on to the next item on the agenda, which will be other business. Any other comments? Okay, I don't see or hear any other comments. So with that being said, Shannon, Philip, Randy, thank you all very much. Great job. And we look forward to what's going to happen next. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Charlie, I'll let you go with the other business.
Okay, thanks, Judge. Hope you can hear me. I had one quick one. We're working on this pickleball fencing. The price of materials has gone up tremendously. So I'm kind of looking at other options as far as what we can do to get that facility completed. We may have to do just a few sections at a time. We might be able to utilize the road department's help. But the chain link and the type we were going to put in and the measurements we got, even through state price contract, was nearly doubled from what we had budgeted. So maybe that stuff will come back down this fall, but I just wanted to let you know we're still working on that. So just an update on the pickleball.
Charlie, can we look at just the plastic? There's that plastic fencing, not metal at all, but just is used in construction sites for temporary fencing for just the downhill side. Maybe. Horrible. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm open for any and all options. Yeah. I'll look into that. We might be able to find some of that to be a temporary help. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Charlie, keep going.
I was contacted by John Mitchell. They're going to be doing some striping. He wanted to know if we wanted to stripe the softball parking lot. We did that several years ago. Those lines have faded. I think that's a great idea. The price he got is $3,250, $3,250. And I would like your all's blessing to proceed with that.
It's definitely needed without question. Okay. Is he doing that with a contractor?
I think so.
Okay.
So Judge, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So thank you. So Charlie, what does that entail? Striping. So that's no top coat of asphalt or anything like that. It's $3,250 just to stripe that lot.
Just the paint. Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I guess my only thing is I don't know where we're going with this project. If we're going to need to mess with that parking lot at all, if they might use it for staging, or I don't know what effect this project might have on that. That's my only concerns. I understand it needs to be done, but yeah. I'm just not knowing where we're going with this whole project. You know what I mean? I'd hate to spend that money and then 8 months from now or something, them have to use that lot for something and tear it up per se. So not saying it's going anywhere, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly I know exactly what you mean, Squire. That's exactly why I brought it up. Just just we're kind of not knowing what our future is, but at the same time, it is something that's currently needed. And John, he reached out to me and gave us a quote. So I just wanted to see if that was something we could go ahead and do, or if you wanted to wait, then, you know, that's understandable too. I'm good either way.
Charlie, would you mind when we get off, getting back with Randy, giving him a holler and see what he suggests doing?
Okay.
To see if he says, no, I think you'll probably be good. You're good to go on that. As they look at the master plan as a whole. But if he says, I wouldn't, you know, Randy probably is already in his mind, already thinking where things are going to go.
Okay. I'll reach out to him. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Charlie.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure you drove through this weekend, but there was a local softball organization that had a huge turnout for a tournament. It didn't look like they had any problems at all with parking. It was full from 7:30 a.m. all day and all night. So
They did a good job. Just, you know, their overflow was in the gravel lot as well as the green space beside the lot. There were 28 teams that came in town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those were the only two other business items I had, Judge. So I'll open the floor to any others.
We got Brittany on. Brittany has something, I think. Brittany, are you on?
I'm here. Hello, everyone. Let me share my screen here. I think I can just flip my camera. There we go. Okay. So, remember we had discussed recycling cans a couple months back, updating the recycle cans at the park. This is what I had applied for with the state and received funding to purchase about 15 of them. And this is completely through the state Kentucky Pride recycling grant. So with this, we are able to customize this wrap. And this is what I have come up with. Is that coming in clear, or is it really grainy?
No, we can see it.
Okay. So does anyone have any comments, or are we all okay with this?
Have you and Charlie talked about where they would go, Brittany, in the park?
Not just yet, no.
Okay. Scarlett, Tracy?
Thanks, Judge. Brittany, quick question, or maybe it's for Charlie. What about all of the blue recycling cans that were purchased by Dr. Pepper, Snapple, whoever it was, that were at the park, that were sitting over by the barn and so forth? Where did they go, or will they be utilized, or are they going to be thrown away, or what's the plans with those?
We still use some of those. Some of them have been damaged. The tops have been damaged on them, or they've got some dents and dings. But you know, we've continued to use the ones that are in you know, presentable shape, and we can continue to use those, or we can put them in metal recycling if we want to phase them out and use the new cans coming in. I'm open for any and all options there.
You don't use them out on the hiking trail, the walking trails or anything like that, do you, Charlie?
No, they're mainly at facilities.
Yeah, that's why that's why Brittany went this route, because this is trying to reach people all over the park, right, Brittany?
Yeah, this is for a more cohesive look around the park. Charlie and I had talked a little bit about how the red carts provided by CKY, a lot of people just don't realize what they're for. Like the all red cart is trash and the one with the black lid is recycle. So there's some issues with some contamination out there. So with this grant and applying for these funds, we figured we could make it a lot more accessible for people to actually do it properly.
Right. So I guess my question would be, again, like I said, there's no blue. The current ones aren't around the walking track or anything like that, nor have I ever seen them around the walking track. So will you all get back with us on your all's location on where you all plan on putting these? Obviously, there's a lot of people that walk, there's a lot of water bottles, so forth. So will you all have a plan on where you're going to put them? And then again, will you get rid of the blue ones that were purchased? Will you send them back to the company that purchased them? Or I'm just trying to figure out, if we have enough, if we don't, can we kind of blend those in?
So I'll be talking with Charlie once we totally decide on this wrap, and we'll sit down and plan out where these are going to go. And then if we need to, as he mentioned, those blue ones that they currently have are more so in facilities. So these will definitely be more accessible just out in the park, for that more cohesive look. So Charlie, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, Brittany, how many of the new recycle bins do you have coming?
We were approved to purchase 15.
Okay. So we'll get a plan together where we can locate those, especially out on the trail, out through the park. And then we can, if we still need to use the blue ones at existing, picnic shelters or the golf shop, or, if they're in good shape, we'll use as many and all that we can. And
you won't make any of those like permanent. They'll be to the point where you can move them just in case the park project comes back and they needed that space for this, or
oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Okay. All right.
Yes. Yeah. They'll be completely mobile. Yeah.
Okay.
You're not
Thanks,
chaining
Charlie.
them down. In other words, they're not going to be chained to the ground. So you can move, your guys can move them as we go through. I'm sure this is going to be a process to see what we need, how we need to work it. So that's a good idea. You two get together and looking at it, giving it a start. And as that goes through, I'm sure you'll move them.
Especially, I was going to say, especially if we identify areas that are, we think that they ought to go, and then it turns out that we're actually seeing waste on the ground, or we're seeing more contamination in another trash cart, we'll be able to move them around and try to figure out a better location.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Judge, can I ask Brittany something real quick, please?
You sure can.
Hey, Brittany, it's Michael. Hope you're doing well. Hey, question on, if you could go back to the signage on the cans. My only input is, I notice there's always a lot of confusion on what can go in a can. So for me, I like visual more than I like verbiage, if that makes sense. It seems like the trash cans, recycles that work well, just in my travels, are the ones that show pictures of what's good and what's not acceptable in that can. So that would be my input, as far as if we could do something like that.
Okay, yeah, definitely can. This is the mock that comes that's on the actual listing, and it has small bottles and cans listed here. So I can definitely move that in or incorporate that in my mock-up.
Yeah, I just think, seems like people like to look at pictures more than they like to read. So thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Charlie?
Okay. Appreciate everybody's input. Is there any other business?
All right.
Hey,
yes.
Judge, I think Robert Hewitt's on. Could I ask a question? Because I think it pertains to the park. Do we know where we are, Robert, at all with the proposed entrance off of Georgetown Road for that pump station we've talked about?
I have seen a survey crew out there sighting in the location. I'm assuming they're gaining that in order to prepare an encroachment permit application. So right now it's in the city of Frankfurt's hands to see if they can acquire that access from the state.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Robert.
You're welcome.
And Squire Muller, I met with a couple employees from the sewer department 2 weeks ago, and we talked about being as little as invasive as we can be when we're over there, or when they are over there doing their construction process, especially around tees and greens and irrigation lines and things like that. So we're trying to get everybody on the same page.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Charlie.
You're welcome.
Ms. Annie, do you have something?
Yes, thank you. Charlie, when you're speaking to the consultants, would you also ask them, we have the grant that we were awarded for the pedestrian entrance path, the Department for Local Government has been holding off of issuing our grant agreement till we were a little bit more ready for it. But since it's a federal program, I know that it is somewhat time sensitive for them. Would you ask them, is there a way that we can go ahead and utilize that? How does that fit into the project? We just kind of need to give the state an idea of what our plans are for those grant funds.
I sure will. Thank you.
One other thing that I wanted to bring up, of course, timing is not always perfect in the grant world, but there are some opportunities I've been trying to stay on top of that are, of course, coming out of the Recovery Act. And one of those has to do with economic development and travel, tourism, and outdoor recreation. There's an opportunity for an application for some funding that they're encouraging regional projects aimed at economic development. So it would need to be tied to something like job creation or assisting an industry that's been hard hit by the pandemic, such as our tourism industry. And there are a few people that have heard the same information I have, Rebecca Hall from the city, Robin Antonucci, and we would like to see if there's a possibility of the city and county cooperating on a joint application for something that would benefit, since we have these new plans, all this new plan information, something that would benefit the tourism industry, Frankfort and Franklin County, that would be an amenity in both a city park and Lakeview Park that we could apply for and have a regional impact, but assist the tourism industry in Franklin County. So I just want to throw that out there. I can continue to gather all the background information that we would need for an application like that. And of course, we would need to coordinate with the city commission with full fiscal court to get authority to submit an application like that. But I want you to start thinking about what kind of projects that we might be able to cooperate on that would impact our tourism, that would be a regional draw. It's not a huge amount of money. Probably what we could expect would be something like a $500,000 joint project. So $250,000 to a city project, $250,000 to a Lakeview project. But that might do something like some lighting improvements at the ball fields, because I know that that's probably going to be part of both city and county plans. So I'd like for you to just consider the possibilities on that. I think that even submitting an application always gives those entities knowledge about the need that exists, and hopefully could lead even to more grant programs along these same lines. So I'm all for submitting an application whenever an opportunity arises. And so if you want to think about that, and you can kind of give me some ideas what you think you would like to see.
And that's fantastic. So I don't want to lose our chance on this, especially if we can work out something. Do you think that this would be something that you should, and I'm just throwing this out, talk with Randy about as they're looking at this, and that if Randy and if Charlie gets them the city's master plan, that maybe he could come up with some ideas that you could jointly work this together and throw that out?
I think that would be fine. If they're going to be looking at the city's plan as well as our information, they may come up with some ideas in that price range that's something that I wouldn't have thought of, but it would have to be a standalone project that we could go ahead and accomplish. But I think there's lots of things out there that we could probably do as a joint project and enhance a city park and Lakeview Park and draw some tourism into Frankfort, Franklin County. So I'm open to suggestions. I just want to let everybody know about that opportunity.
Oh, I mean, that is great. That's wonderful that you've found out about that. And we thank thank you, and Rebecca and Robin for looking at that. So let's make sure we stay on top of that. And we're all trying to work together with the city and the Hitchcock group to kind of help lead us in that direction. Let's don't lose sight of that money. $500,000 is a lot of money for something that we
Yes.
could use at our park. Great, Ann. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Charlie?
All right, yeah, that is great news. Thank you, Ann. Any other business?
Charlie, we'll just hear from you when the next meeting is to occur, okay?
Okay, when I hear from Shannon about when they're lined up to have the next meeting, I'll be in touch. I appreciate everybody's time today. A lot of good information from a lot of different areas, and we'll just keep on trucking. So if there is no other business, then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Motion is seconded.